Welcome once again, dear viewer. Now, I've had my first day of college, and it was, kind of decent. It was decent, but, online stuff. I don't really like doing things online, but anyway, that's not the point. The point was, when I was doing my nostalgic stories on Donkey Kong 64, I was thinking of doing another one on something that meant a little more to me than just, a video game. Now, I love video games, but there is one thing that I love even more than video games, and that is old cartoons. Specifically, late 90s and early 2000s cartoons. Now, if there is one show that I can tell you I love more than anything else, it's Spongebob. Specifically, more seasons 1 through 3 Spongebob. However, unlike most people, I will say that there are some pretty good episodes that have been made after the movie came out. I wouldn't say enough good episodes have been made after the movie came out to really justify the extra seasons, but, well. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the whole downfall of SpongeBob, though I will hurry and briefly touch upon that before I get to the real nostalgic story. One thing that I've noticed is when you're a really big fan of something, it's really bad when you have to see that thing that you loved so much really get a bad reputation. I think another thing that really has the same problem is Sonic. One thing I've noticed is, when something gets a bad reputation, it never lives it down, no matter how much it could possibly improve. Or most people just see it as, it's not what they wanted, and then just assume that because it's not what they wanted, it was bad. SpongeBob kinda has a similar thing, though, with the supposed Dark Age of Sonic. Most of those games, while not really all that good, weren't really full-on bad. But anyway, with that little rant aside, let's get on to the real meat of this. Now, like I said, I've always been a lover of cartoons, and SpongeBob is without a doubt my favorite cartoon, along with shows like Rugrats, Sonic SatAM, Darkwing Duck, and many other cartoons. But SpongeBob has always held a special place in my heart, because it wasn't the first show I really ended up really dedicating myself to and really loving. The first one was Rugrats, both of which are Nickelodeon shows. Now, I never really hated Cartoon Network's lineup. Looking back, a lot of them are really, really good. But when I was younger, it never really appealed to me as much. Now, and even today, they don't appeal to me as much as a lot of the old style cartoons, such as, SpongeBob and Rugrats. Admittedly, they're two different things. Nickelodeon focused a bit more on comedy, while a lot of the great Cartoon Network shows were a bit more, I don't know how to put it, a little more dramatic, like things like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Samurai Jack, and all that. But anyway, SpongeBob has always been something that I really loved. And the interesting thing was, prior to that, there was Rugrats, which is a show that I pretty much watched since I was an infant, and that was one I really loved to its end. Now, when SpongeBob came around, I don't remember my exact reactions, but I do know I mostly watched it because, I was a Nickelodeon kid. Now, when it comes to SpongeBob, there's quite a bit I can say about the show. When I was younger, I just really was dedicated. It was funny. It was really appealing. It had good animation. A very fun cast of characters. Pretty much all the good stuff you'd want from a TV show. Now, with that being said, there are some duds early on. I wouldn't say there's any episodes I really considered full-on bad, as much as I just found them kind of mediocre. But admittedly, there are some that I liked that some don't, like the Lost episode and the Great Snow Race. And there are some that plenty of people like that I don't. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, yeah, I never really considered there was really a full-on bad SpongeBob episode. But yeah. Anyway, you could say I was pretty much a fanboy who never really could see anything wrong, which, probably is why I don't see too much wrong with the show, the old series now. But, oh well. I think everyone has their own big nostalgia goggles to something that really impacted their lives heavily, and for me, that was SpongeBob. Though, here's the interesting thing. Now, I was really dedicated and I loved everything SpongeBob related, though I never really got a chance to play the games. I do remember there was this one board game. It was kind of like that Flying Dutchman thing where you go around and try to get coins and all that, which, we lost, unfortunately. There were those little comic books that I loved, and recently I was able to get some DVDs. Now, when my family originally, didn't have TV anymore, that doesn't mean I wasn't able to still enjoy SpongeBob. There was the SpongeBob movie. Now, that movie I really, really wanted to see in theaters, but I just never was able to. I rarely get to see movies in theaters, and with the second SpongeBob movie coming out, I might go and see that one, but I haven't decided. It doesn't really look amazing. It doesn't look full on bad. It just looks kind of meh. I might watch it, but who knows. But anyway, with SpongeBob, the show was, I think I loved it due to some of that the simple charm of it. And, it does have really good writing. Now, here's kind of it's very much I don't know, I'm having a hard time thinking about just what to say. It's very much it's kind of a dead giveaway if you really loved the show in the same way I did, but I don't know, it's one of those things that I love so much, but do have a hard time kind of expressing kind of why I really loved it, outside of just, some basic stuff. And I think that's one thing that most shows really, I think a lot of downsides come with a lot of TV shows where they try to be these big epic things, which is good, it's admirable, but I think most people lose a lot of sight on the charm of just simple, funny stuff and all that. Not too long and all that. But I don't know. Something about that always just appealed to me. Anyway, yeah. I think I've been rambling on about just how much I love the show, and I do have plans on reviewing the 2 SpongeBob games I own. Now, I did own one SpongeBob game for the Game Boy Color, which, looking back on it, it was not all that good. It wasn't bad. It was just really mediocre. Very, very mediocre. But, oh well. Anyway, so I remembered when the SpongeBob movie came out, I never got to see it. I heard so many good things, and when I was finally able to see it on VHS, oh man, I loved it. And when my parents originally got divorced, what happened was, I was able to get a copy of the SpongeBob movie, and I watched it over and over again. And it's still great. I don't have the movie anymore, but I'm probably gonna get that on DVD really soon. Anyway. But yeah. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about were the SpongeBob video games. Now, I don't remember when I first saw Battle for Bikini Bottom. I do know it was on a GameCube. But, I only played like a little bit of it and, didn't get to play much until I got the game years later. But the one game that I really, really remember was the SpongeBob movie game. This game, the one you're seeing right now, this game was just awesome. It had pretty much everything I wanted in a video game. A simple objective with a few little reasons with a couple of collectible objectives to keep you coming back. It's amazing. It had some fun bosses. It was pretty challenging, and when I picked it up again, it wasn't as hard as it was for me when I was a kid. I mean, it was, along with Spider-Man 2, was one of those games I originally had on the Xbox and never got to finish until, I got the GameCube version. Yeah, I can make a list of those things. But anyway, the SpongeBob movie game. It's a really fun and really basic, it's a pretty linear, structured game, but with some really good challenges. And the boss fight you're seeing, well, I'll tell you this little sneak preview. You will see this on a list I'm planning for my top 10 favorite final bosses. Spoilers, but anyway. Now, the thing that I don't know what it was exactly that made me just stop liking SpongeBob. I mean, I stuck around with it for a good long while, and I think what finally did me in was the episode Truth or Square. Anyone who's seen it will tell you it's awful. it is a really, really bad episode, and it got pretty much all the hate it deserved. It deserved all the hate that it got. I don't know, like, I think after a good 5 years of just really getting really mediocre content, really mediocre to really bad episodes, I figured it was really just kind of, my enjoyment really ended. And after a while, I just kind of started really, really disliking the show. And then, looking back, I think I was a bit too hard on those episodes, the post-movie episodes. But yeah. But I was able to pick up. But what interesting thing that happened, there was this one user named Pie Guy Rules who did this whole kind of look back of all the episodes. And while there are some things I disagree with him with, it really got me to want to go and watch the show again. And I was able to pick up the season 3 DVD, and watching it again reminded me of just why I really loved it. And unlike most video games where it's a very interactive media where, I don't know, like I said, I've always been more of a TV show, cartoon kind of guy than a video game guy. And SpongeBob is one of those things that has just always meant a lot to me, and pretty much always will. Now, I'd like to ask you, what's a TV show or something from your childhood that you really loved and then just like really, really started to not like? Let me know what that was, and did you ever come back to it? Let me know in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day.